So I know it's Turkey Day, and a lot of people are eating with their family. Hey, Mr. Kibbe, good morning. Today I wanted to do something different because I found a beautiful article. I'm going to copy and paste the link right now and share it with everybody from one of my groups. And I wanted to let you guys know that one, I did launch a investment idea into Japan last summer while I was traveling through Japan. My number one difficulty was my dad had died, so I wasn't on my game as far as running my travel business and trying to invest in real estate for the 2020 Olympics. But what I did want to discuss is that there are other opportunities that are becoming available pretty soon for long-term investment way past the Olympics. And I wanted to go into the history and the background of it. First and foremost, Japan has two major problems. One, immigration, two, population. And the thing is that Japan are going to hit 50 and 60, and the birth rate is at 0.78%. That means for every 100 people, seven or eight couples are having kids. And we're discussing replacement numbers. So if it's a mother and a father, they're barely having two kids, not three, or they're having one child and not two. So that means communities are drying up by the decade. And first and foremost, let me make sure that everyone understands I am not bashing any community in Japan. I'm not downplaying the problem of Japan. I'm giving this to you for educational purposes. So, with that being said, I'm about to copy the article in Japanese and in English on Facebook and on YouTube so everybody can see it. So, go back. If you can, hey, Erica, happy Thanksgiving to you too. Hey, Lamar, good morning, man. Good to see you. Investment that I wanted to discuss with everybody, really simple, is it's a long run it out to tourists in Japan and I make it back in 2 to 3 years. It's not what I'm here to discuss. I'm here to discuss the long term investment of building communities and international education communities on the other side of the water. Why? One, Japan has something that American education doesn't, consistent amount of success stories. Um, Also, Japan has this one thing called we're running out of people to live at home, so they're practically giving them away. The article title is misleading, and it says Japan is giving away 8 million homes. None of these homes are in major cities or very close to major cities. However, they're not far from major cities, including Tokyo, Kyoto, Osaka, Fukuoka, any of the internationally well known cities. These aren't far from them. And I want to make that very clear. So we're going to drop the article for everyone to enjoy. So to recap the starting notes, number one, Japan has a declining population. And the proof that I can give you that witnessing firsthand is that small communities like Hideyoshi and Kumamoto, like Oita City, and then you go to Kitsuki, Satsuki, and all the other towns further down the train line, or you go to Uto in Kumamoto Prefecture, or you go to Himeji and smaller cities in Hyogo Prefecture that I've traveled to, or Western or Eastern Japan, you run into people that aren't available. And what that means is that public education around the world basically gives people up to 19 or 20. And I wonder if they have a short link. I can't get it up on YouTube. Ooh, let me see if I can make a mini URL. That's not helping me. It's too big. But what we're going to discuss first is what this opportunity sounds like, what it looks like, what it can be, what it won't be for people that aren't aware of how to invest. First off, happy Turkey Day to everybody. I'm at the house in New Orleans if you want to come check me out later. And I'm just waking up. So first and foremost, what this opportunity is that if you look at um, real estate in Japan, if you look at real estate in America, if you look at real estate anywhere, you notice that the trend is everybody wants to be close to the action or in a comfortable suburb just away from the action. And they want to discuss, hey, I have this nice house. How can I turn it into a residual income? I can rent it to people. I can rent it to a family. I can rent it to people all over the world that want to come travel. Yeah, that's very true. The issue, though, for a lot of people is, well, what do I do with this opportunity once it happens? How do I make this opportunity available to everybody else? Well, the issue is not how you make the opportunity available. It's getting past the language curve and the business curve of Japan. So first and foremost, you have realestate.co.jp. That is a national conglomerate of real estate agents that to a network to have access to the listings. And the real estate, a lot of their offices in Japan do have um, they do have what's the word I'm looking for? Agents who speak English. I'm sorry. I have all my notes in front of me on the tablet. So the first and most important thing is you are looking at it through the eyes of, well, what do we do next? How do we make this happen? Where are we going to go with this live information? So first and foremost, I'm going to post all the websites in the comments on YouTube, Facebook. Make sure you get them. The first number one thing is realist.co.jp. You don't have to make an account. If you do make an account, you'll start getting a lot of emails telling you about seminars in Japan. And to get into the investment game in Japan, you have to be making at least $75,000 to $100,000 a year US. Or you have to prove that whatever business ventures you have an outstanding income of $75,000 to $100,000 a year, which is not impossible to prove. And I'm also adding the link for the San Antonio YouTubers to come out and support. So again, I know this is the worst day to do a live and people are sitting around getting stuffed, getting well fed, but I wanted to give you something to think about. So when you look at realestate.co.jp, first and foremost, a lot of the yield, and the yield is how much you would make monthly, annually, semi-annually, or whenever you collect rent, is 5% if you take out a loan, compared to buying out the property on a wholesale. The recommendation I was looking at last summer when working with a realestate.co.jp office close to Waseda University was, since I am not living in Japan, currently, I'm still in the United States. What happens is that if you get a property that is giving you 8% or 100%, or, well, 100% will never happen. You'd have to buy it, and resell it. But if you're getting a property that's between 5 to 10%, they want 10% of your yield monthly to do your maintenance, collect your rent, and deal with all the stuff that you're not available to do. And that's what we're talking about. So I'm adding websites as we're going along. That way I can keep everybody in a loop. And then I'm going to add the listings. So thanks for joining, Mike. I don't think you're going to stay that long, but hey, I'll take whatever I can get. Hey, Brian. Hey, Mikey. So what I want to discuss first are realistic expectations. The article that's now linked in there that I'm going to pin right now is talking about smaller communities throughout Japan where people don't want to live anymore because their children have moved to Tokyo, Kyoto, Osaka, or a major industrial city, or that people have died out and these communities are legitimately abandoned. So in comparison to the one question that I already got on Twitter was, well, how does that relate to the homelessness in Japan? Well, the homeless people don't want to be in an abandoned community because there's no support programs, there's no social programs, no one's giving them help. So that defeats the purpose of them going to these places. The next issue is you're looking at it from the eyes of what are going on in these smaller communities. Well, what's going on in these smaller communities is that, one, people are aging out. There's no businesses there to support July 31st, or you checked out the YouTube recap video that was split up into 3 sections. The problem is that as much as Japan is the most beautiful, respectful country in the world, with 100% customer service ratings wherever people go, the problem becomes, what do we do with our kids? We educate them, we send them to college, we send them to these study abroad programs, we send them to universities abroad to get educated. What else can we do to keep them at home? And the problem is that Japan's mindset has pyramided into, well, all kids have to go to major universities, all kids have to go to major colleges, all kids have to turn around and go to these major companies and serve the machine. They're not encouraging the opportunities to go abroad and bring companies and investors to Japan. And that's kind of the mindset that I'm having difficulties with after the economic development lecture. One, everyone wants to conduct business at 100% Japanese. I get that. But, oh, the website's acting up. I guess they're updating it today. For realestate.co.jp, as I'm trying to click and add it. I'll have to find another way. But the problem becomes, how do we get you out of that mindset where you're stuck in Japanese only and everything has to be the way it's going to be in Japanese? What do we do next? And that's kind of the problem that Japan is having with in and of itself. So the next big question that I got was, well, how do we cash in on this? What do we need to do? One, you need to form a group, constituency, investment team or whatnot, and launch it as a business and send a representative to Japan, which I did last year. I represented a group of investors that were looking at close to $17 million if we could find property that we liked and build a banking relationship. So let me tell you what I did wrong last summer. Even though my dad died and I was all over the place. You have three major banks in Japan, that deal with foreign investment money coming into Japan. The next step that I didn't do was secure an investor's visa. An investor's visa costs $50,000, period. There's no ifs, ands, or buts around it. So the group of investors, what the restructured ideal was, they wowould cover the real estate investment visa. Out of one of the properties that we picked up off the list, those properties are gone, by the way. I kept up with it. I was going to have an apartment out of one of the properties. And then I was going to start laying the groundwork for having foreign students coming to Japan, foreign internships coming into Japan, and all these different programs catered around local people renting out apartments and then doing Airbnb after the legal update in Japan. That way, every property would be picking up 1 to 2.5% more than the expected income. So the next question that I had, and I need a haircut, don't pay attention to my head. The next major discussion point was, well, who do you contact? How do you get introduced? What are the steps? Well, you can look for apartments on various websites, including gaijinpot.com. You can look for apartments on a lot of things. The issue becomes, what do you do once you find these things? And that's the overwhelming issue that a lot of people don't understand, is that the hardest part is finding 1 to 3 offices through realestateco.jp, then introducing yourself, then establishing a business relationship, then making sure that they understand your vision and your plan, as well as what you want to do next. And with realestate.co.jp down, it's kind of disturbing. I don't know if it's the Wi-Fi that I'm using, but we will find other websites. Okay. So there's more articles and more links, but I'm gonna find it and find something that works. And it's a bad gateway. They must be updating. One day I want to do a live. They're not even functional, but we're gonna update the listing out from the article. That way you can find it in the comments. What I will do for the big article is that I'll make a tiny URL for everyone else. But let's go communities in Japan. It's strategically finding a community that is still supported by JR or the Hyokin bus system, which is the highway. If it's still, it's going to take a lot of money to turn them around. But the same problem that the Japanese system is having is how do you move people to these communities to keep them there? What happens with the culture you lose, the education resources? There's no universities, no job training programs, and um, and the problem is that unless you're working the family business, unless you're working for a company that's already well established, and you're comfortable in that mindset, though people aren't going to stay. So that's the issue that a lot of people are having. What do I do with this house? I have a house stolen so far from a train station. What do I do? So the way the Japanese government has looked at it is they're expanding the cities by adding train stops and annexing communities into the larger tax bracket of the next closest city, which has happened in Satsuki and Tatsuki in Taishiki. I don't know if it's Taishiki. I gotta ask a friend the name of her community. But the overwhelming issue becomes how do I take care of finding these communities? So for those of us that work real jobs and have real lives and don't make $100,000 a year, it comes down to working with a group of investors that you're comfortable with, getting that on board, and building that. This website is all in Japanese, but you can use Google Translate or Safari Translate to look at what it is. So that's the website in and of itself. You can start looking at the listings. However, my strategic plan last summer was to do communities within an hour and a half, 90 minutes of Tokyo by train, which is deep Western Tokyo. Like if you're from San Antonio, you know that SeaWorld is literally on the other side of the planet for you. If you live Midtown, downtown, 1604 and 281, or out there by Lock and Terra, you literally know that SeaWorld is going to be 45 minutes to an hour in traffic on a great day. So why bother? And that was the overwhelming problem that a lot of people were having. And what I wanted to discuss as part of this series that I'm going to be doing, if you're investing in Japan, there's plenty of opportunities to do it. But the issue becomes why, who, what, when, where, and why. The plan for last summer was to invest in 10 to 15 properties through buying out 2 to 3 crucial properties that were in the city. Those properties were going to be more expensive, and I wanted a secured loan through the investment group to host 8 to 9 of these properties through a loan, meaning that we put down 50%, the loans there, so that way we have a cash pool coming in to take care of buying up multiple properties. The Tokyo Metropolitan Government, and I'm going to link the prefectural map of Japan to this so that way everyone sees it. Around Tokyo was zone 0, meaning that Tokyo proper, all the way out to Tokyo Prefecture, where all the hotels close to train lines. You have new hotels being built that will be up for sale probably a year or two after the Olympics, because there won't be any major events going to Tokyo that a lot of foreigners are going to be coming to compared to the Olympics. So that was one of the number one strategies I was looking at, was finding a prefectural map. So I'm looking for the zone map right now that has everything color coded. So let me get the color code map up here so we can all look at it at the same time and get the link. Boom, got it. So the plan that I had proposed to the investors in the United States was investing in properties in the zones around Japan. And I'm getting the link. Boom. So we were discussing 13 is the Tokyo region, but all of the green around Tokyo was having properties for rent close to. Hey, Jason, I'm glad you're up, man. Happy belated Thanksgiving. I hope you got somewhere to hang out with while you were there. So the new comment that I just posted is the link to the geographical map of Japan. And with the geographical map of Japan being located, you can now understand where my strategies were. The strategies that I had for Japan, in the short version, is that I wanted to get a couple of big properties in Tokyo proper. Why? Everyone's coming to Tokyo. People are comfortable with Tokyo. First timer to Japan coming for the Olympics. Don't want to be overwhelmed with the fine details. Boom. We have a couple of properties in Tokyo. We hire university students. Tokyo has a free service for tour guides. Contracted one of them to pick up the guests at the airport, get them to the property for the Airbnb of what's going on in Tokyo. Let them have a active tour guide. Make sure they have a training pass. Make sure the tour guide's available for those days. They're situated, but they pay for the Airbnb. Once the Olympics are open, the Airbnb law for Japan is you can only have 180 days of use. So we will start the Airbnb in April for cherry blossom season. Take it all the way through the summer. It would end in October, and then we rent it out. So that'd be perfect for mid-semester university students looking for a place to stay. And then we could just Airbnb it out for different tour groups coming to Japan and future investor group and whatever happens. So with that being said, the timeline that I had laid out for everything to go on board was 2.5 years if it was successful last summer. Didn't happen, not upset, but I tried, and that was the biggest thing for me. How does this affect the article that I share with a lot of people on Facebook? Here's the deal. Japan is going to always be a major um, game changer for international travel, and that's not a bad thing. The overwhelming issue, however, with Japan being a big tourist destination is how do you cash? You want to cash in where you fit in, and the number one issue that always comes up is how. Realestate.co.jp, once they update their website, I have business cards of different tourist agencies in Japan and what have you, whatnot. My effective 7-year plan was cash in on the Olympics, consolidate the properties, and then take all of the income and invest in other industries in Japan, since it's still a 50-50 market. Booming in certain industries, tanking in other industries, but real estate, everyone needs a place to live. Commercial real estate in Japan is a very tenacious beast, and I wanted to get on the ground floor with the plan that I had for Japan. So when you're looking at the regional map, the places that I have the most experiences with are the bottom left of the map, which is Kyushu, and then where is it? The Kansai region, which is 28, 27, and 26 on your maps. That's the Kansai region. Tokyo, everyone has a leg up in Tokyo. But with a great Facebook group that I joined is the Tokyo Black Professionals, and we do have real estate agents in there. I would say talk to them, get to see them, and give them your ideas or ask questions. But you do have a lot of professional real estate groups. The number one issue with Japan being a foreigner is your foreign investment visa, having a comfortable command of the Japanese language, or having someone that's willing to work with you daily for the translation purposes in Japanese that you can afford. That was the issue that I was not going to run into because I already found a translator that I could work with in Tokyo. I already found one in Kyushu, and that was the plan. So, for everyone thinking about investing in Japan, being a part of the process, maybe even, I wish I would have started this video early so everyone in Japan could contribute. But the number one thing about investing in Japan is that It's not like investing in America. It is a cultural barrier. There are a lot of opportunities. And the number one thing that I want to recommend is that when you look at investing in Japan, make sure you're looking at it from the mindset of long term, not short term. It doesn't exist. It's a rare opportunity for short term investments in Japan. And you have to keep in mind, summer 2017 to summer 2020 was 3 years, but the proposal wasn't going to launch until January 2018 of this year, where I would have moved to Japan full time and been working every day to secure contractors, renovate properties, get it up to Western standards, outsourcing um, driving companies for the guests that were going to be in Japan full time, and doing what I had researched in Brazil. The Brazil Olympics was a nightmare of logistics. Brazil was ready for the hotel guests. The hotels already had their own plans of how to get people to and from. Hey, Uncle Lloyd, um, what went wrong in one of the case studies I read was the crime rate, the lack of customer service, the language barriers, the poverty of Brazil being shown on the international front. The Americans that were taking advantage, okay, buffering. Um, Konbanwa Yoshitake-san. Hey, Rosie. Um, what went wrong with um, Brazil, other than the logistical issues, was the fact that no one had an investment strategy ready to go. I researched and found out that there are a couple of international or global investment teams that, whenever they get um, the final destination of the Olympics, the next day their people are flying out, securing real estate, and planning out how to get their guests, because it is a travel club for people that always go to the Olympics or first timers going to the Olympics that are memberships of this club. They're investing millions of dollars to set up contracts, get the property out there, scout it out. They're inviting the clubs and people inviting the Olympics to go practice. They're setting up testing facilities, training facilities. They're working out restaurants. They're making it exclusive for their five-star, five-diamond customers. And the microcosm that I found was he was an American, but he was working with a local Brazilian person. And what he said is that, hey, I have a timeshare in Brazil. Who doesn't want to be here for the Olympics? And that was a selling point. If you don't want to deal with the nightmare of the Olympics, you don't want to be around the Germans, the British, whoever you don't like. You don't want to be around the traffic, the noise pollution, and you can't have your peace and quiet. Let me buy out your timeshare for the time of the Olympics, which was amazing. And the numbers that they posted into the public version, he was making $20,000 a week per person. Why? Because that was a business class plane ticket. That was staying in getting your own room with Wi-Fi, internet access. You had a maid, you had a cook, you had a driver that was taking you from place to place. So for the time that you were there for the Olympics, you're paying anywhere of $10,000 and $20,000 per head. So couples were paying $30,000 to $50,000 for a room, and you're at one of these condos overlooking Sao Paulo. You're over one of the ones looking Brasilia. You're over the ones in Rio de Janeiro. You are at a villa. You are at a condo. You are in an upscale private home, renting it out for the duration of the Olympics. So the numbers that he had collected is that he came in with his $200,000 that he put in from family and friends, and then he was taking out loans with local banks, international banks, to secure the villas and the condos and paying off the timeshare dividends. But at the end of it, he walked away with $16 million for 2.5 years worth of work. And that was my big thing. My issue here is that no, it's not that I'm black, it's that I'm not in the financial world and I'm not sitting on $17 million. So my failure is that I couldn't see the answer in front of my face, which was you had three main banks that deal with foreign investor um, resources in Japan, and If I just would have thought to go set an appointment with one of these banks, everything would have worked out. So, with that being the end of that problem, let's look at future opportunities. So, if you ever wanted to have your own piece of another country, where if you ever got sick of living in the United States, where could you go? One, you could go to Japan. They're selling homes. If you had the millions of dollars to buy Johnny Depp's Italian village, you could buy his Italian village and rent it out. If you wanted to live comfortably in Brazil, yeah, they have houses for sale, but it's Brazil. It's not the cleanest country in the world. It's one of the prettiest, but not the cleanest. Not picking on Brazil. Brazil is amazing. I still haven't been yet, so my opinion doesn't count. But what you are looking at, again, and what your goals are, is that if you are looking to invest in this house you've never been to in Japan, take a trip, set a couple days aside to work with a local real estate agent and give them the listings that you found. How you use this website, again, is that one, you need to turn on the Google Translate so you can read the different buttons, locations, and get locations. Now, the prefectures that are listed in the first three, Yamagata Prefecture is not a bad place. Oita Prefecture is great if you're sending people to Beppu, which is a major tourist destination. You're not far from the train line. But the problem is that you have to invest in renovating these houses and getting them cleaned up. Second, you have to keep in mind that a lot of these homes are not necessarily walking distance to a train line. You're going to have a rental car available for people, or you're going to be looking at it from the mindset of, okay, I have a house in Japan. That's not convenient. The thing is that 80 to a million yen is under $100,000. Um, you have to always get the last two zeros. So if it says it's a million yen, it's $100,000 house, $10,000 house. You know, you'll work it out. But you have I can't show you the link. I have to work on it. But Shikoku, Kyushu, Okinawa, Hokuriku, Kansai, the number one region that I will highly recommend, other than Tokyo, of course, is Kansai, because everybody wants to see the historical beauty of Kyoto. Everyone wants to see the historical beauty of Osaka, Kobe, Himeji Castle, Osaka-jo, the Imperial Palace of Kyoto. So I'm going to end this video. If you have any comments, questions, drop me a comment. Link up with me on Twitter, Instagram, whatever. But I wanted to make it clear that there are opportunities all over the world, but Japan's giving away homes. Some of the homes that are being given away are contractual homes, meaning that you're settling there, you're retiring there, and you're either bringing children or you bring other investors. Scratch that plan. If you want to get out of the United States and you just want to live in Japan, you never want to come back, there are homes. Settle, don't have children. But at the same time, they want you to bring some people to the area that you're moving in, just not you living there, joining the community. So when you flip it on that note, Hideyoshi, going back to Hideyoshi, is that the number one powerful moment in Hideyoshi is that they have a tourism element that is going year round. Movies are being filmed there. They're reaching out to different industries to host seminars there. They're bringing in capital investors from other countries to look at opportunities to do large projects, movies, films, short projects like mine this summer where I was filming live in Hideyoshi all the time. So it comes down to the opportunity that you envision, that you create, that you want to invest in. What I'm looking at is that long-term, 5 to 7 years. Once I learn how real estate rental property works in the city of New Orleans and in San Antonio, is taking the income and starting to buy a property in Japan, particularly in the Kansai region, and then linking up with universities to have study abroad programs, do Rotary programs, what have you, whatnot. I really want to be involved in international bridge building as well as business investment. Why? I want to seize these opportunities that I'm researching. So with that, happy Turkey Day. I hope this informed your brain. I hope the websites that I linked are informative and useful for you. Again, anyone you want to get in contact with the mayor's office in the city of Hideyoshi, please let me know and I'll work with the tourism board and see if there's an introduction. For anyone that's a business investor looking to get in on the opportunities in Asia, 2019, I'm leaving 2 days in certain cities open to go meet with the local tourism bureau and the prefectural business guilds and tourism bureaus, as well as the investment groups. If you're in, let me know. If you're not, I hope you join me in 2020 when we go for cherry blossom season. So with that, celebrate your loved ones. Be blessed. Be happy. For those of you watching on YouTube, I'm going to find a tiny URL to link the video to. If you're on Facebook, please share this video out to anyone you know that's in the real investment game, or they invest in large businesses, or just want to travel abroad. Thank you and love you all. Have a great night. All right, I owe you guys a short article link in. All right, nope. I don't want that. Let's make a tiny URL real quick. Two minutes. All right. So for those of you that are waiting on the full article, there it is. It's in there. No. Really. Come on. Okay, that didn't work. Why didn't that work? So I'm not at home on my Wi-Fi or my computer, so I apologize for the spaciness and the hang-ups. That's Google. So I will post the link to the article in the comments section. Thank you guys for putting up with me for 40 minutes. I love you all and have a great